Hello and welcome to the show. I am here on Forza 6 with another silly car build. Today I am going to be taking the Ford F-100, a vehicle that I certainly know best on the Forza games as being one of the easiest to make roll over. So I am suspecting that by the time I have finished modifying this, I mean, this is one of the very few vehicles that will roll over, in the dry without too much assistance. So yeah, this could be quite a handful going around a wet track. After all, the Lamborghini wasn't quite as crazy as I was expecting. This, well, it might be more sensible than I'm kind of expecting. I think this could end up on its roof a number of times. Now, engines, as far as those that we can put into the vehicle, we have the 5.7 litre V8 or the Nascar engine. As good as the 5.7 litre is, it's not going to get anywhere near as much power as we can from the Nascar one, so that is what we shall be using. Unfortunately, it's not quite going to be as crazily powerful as the Lamborghini that we had last time out, but still, it's not going to be too bad. Also, this is going to be rear-wheel drive, so that should be interesting for trying to put all of the power down onto the road. We will have some aero, as much downforce as we can on the car. Does this still have the aero improving? Was it this one that had the aero improving tyre? I think it was. Yes, it does. It still does the same thing as well. So often, the side skirts can be put on the vehicles to reduce the drag. And sure enough, sticking a spare tyre on the side of the Ford gives it a drag reduction. I'm not quite sure that that's quite how it works, but we shall have it because of reasons. Right, well, that's the aero stuff done. Tyres, of course, we shall get some lovely race tyres on the vehicle, and we shall have some maximum tyre widths, 245s on the front, and two, I've been for bigger. They're quite little. Bearing in mind we had 345s all round on the Lamborghini. This has got that's not very big tyres for a lot of power going through the vehicle. We might have some control issues aside from the fairly obvious likelihood to fall over, although admittedly having the smaller tyres does help me in respects of falling over. The larger the tyres, the more grip we can get from them, the more likely a vehicle is to go over, so it does kind of work with us ever so slightly, but I do know just how top heavy this is likely to be. We shall get some nice race brakes on the vehicle. The race suspension absolutely slams the vehicle. Probably the biggest change of all of the vehicles, like even the big SUVs and so on, the off-road vehicles. Pretty sure that's still the biggest change. Now that is good in respect to a lower centre of mass, but even with the race suspension on the vehicle, it's still very, very high possibility of tumbling over. We will have a roll cage for that extra chassis rigidity, and we will have some weight reduction down to 2,893 pounds, so not that much heavier than some of the cars that have gone around in this series. And we shall take off the restrictors from the engine, which means 994 horsepower in the Ford F-100. Now it is time to try and not put it in a wall or upside down. Of course, to test out the Ford, I brought it to the Virginia International Raceway, where it will have 5 laps around the Patriot alternate layout in an attempt to go as fast as possible. Now, the top of the table is unlikely to fear the F-100. The Nascar, the Veyron, the Hot Wheels Mustang are not going to be threatened by this particular vehicle. We're again going to be looking down the lower end of the table. Can it beat the Mini? That was a crazy, overpowered front-wheel drive car. Is likely to be better than that. But then we've got the likes of the Lamborghini LM002, the Mercedes G-Wagon, and so on. So yeah, we shall see, although the Lamborghini and Mercedes were both four-wheel drive, which is likely to help a fair bit when it comes to crazy power and a very wet circuit. Quite a lot of understeer, and the brakes in this are certainly nowhere near as good as we saw from the Lamborghini. It doesn't really quite get slowed down as well. Now, these curbs are the big concern. I wonder, actually, we may not have the grip to carry the corner speed. My fears of rolling this may... Oh, dear. Uh-oh, we're going to hit that tire. I saw that just at the wrong... Well, I saw that just too late for me to do anything about it. Okay, all of my talk of rolling, I really thought that was going to be a problem with this. I don't think we've got anywhere near enough grip to even contemplate rolling this thing out here. It just slides about so much, and if it's sliding about, even if we do hit a curve, I think it's very unlikely that... oh no, please turn. There we go. We're good. We're bad. We're on the outside curb, and we're finding puddles and grass and all sorts of things that are not good to be driving over when it's very, very wet out. I think it's actually more likely to spin from going on a curb. I don't think we can carry the quarter speed. Well, we're not going to have a rolly vehicle. Surprisingly, well, these long gear ratios, I guess, are what are doing it. I can actually floor it out of that final corner. It is good for 160 miles an hour down there. That is a hell of a speed for the F-100 there. God, now we've got to be careful again as we come through this opening tight section. Yeah, the NASCAR gearbox is working well in this instance. We're going to run wide once more, but we're never quite finding ourselves in as much trouble as we did with the Lamborghini ending up wide through that section. Okay, we're going to have to probably knock that barrier out of the way. That's just at the wrong point. It's a real pain in the arse to deal with. Right, we've got our way through the tighter section of track, and now try and make the most of the surprisingly good traction. Wait to get on the power. It's not quite holding as much speed as the Lamborghini did through that section. No, but it's not too shabby. In all honesty, up towards the final quarter, we go to putting wheels on curbs is not a good idea. I say that out wide and on a curve. If you can avoid it, that's definitely the best way to go. Floor it to line, 14.0. Oh, this could well go quicker than the likes of the Lamborghini. Is bouncing around a little bit. 162, and we're going to get under braking. Yeah, that's actually going to work as well at getting the vehicle slowed down for the first quarter. There's really not a huge amount of grip in this. That much is for sure. And it would be very... these long gear ratios are really saving this from being absolutely awful. Having very, very long gear ratios, it just helps control that wheel spin. We just don't spin the wheels up as much as we could be, and we can still put good amounts of power down onto the road. Although we're going to overshot that section there. Ah, damn it! Just ran it in a little bit too deep. We've got about half a second to find. If we can find that in the next couple of laps, that would be good going. The front end does not get turned in to these corners, that if you try and use any throttle whatsoever, the back end will want to step out unless you are perfectly straight, like out of this final corner. If you can get it perfectly straight here, it's actually really not that bad, but everywhere else the back end is just wanting to go. We don't have too many issues across the bumps up towards turn one. That is also very nice. It is a little bouncier than some, however it's not quite going to fling it into or off onto the grass or into a tyre bundle anywhere, so I can deal with that. And this is not massively heavy for what it is. 2,800 pounds is actually not too bad in terms of weight. Well, we have found half a second in that first sector. Now if we can maintain that speed through this next part, maybe we can beat the Lamborghini, beat the Mercedes. Well, we've cleared the sign out, so even if we don't beat it this time around, that will be clear for the run this next lap. Admittedly, the sign often affects the smaller vehicles. It didn't actually have any effect on this. It can throw vehicles to the left or right, and we've seen cars spun off the road just from clipping a sign, and that did absolutely nothing to hinder the progress of the Ford, although me trying to get on the power a bit too soon, very nearly. I had a wheel on the grass. I'm amazed I got away with that, where I did. There was, I think, both right-hand side wheels on the grass at one point, but I got away with it. Again, we're flat out in third gear out of that final corner. A 13.0 from the Ford. I'm impressed with the traction we are getting from this car. Not many vehicles have actually been flat out, certainly not rear-wheel drive vehicles, flat out of the final turn, even with giant tyres. So this gearbox is working very, very well for the Ford. Okay, We've got another 0.3 of a second found this time out. Can we go even faster? Maybe. Maybe we can. Oh, I flipped the throttle a little bit too much down there. That might put me out of position. Ooh, slaloming and wiggling my way through that section. I think I was a little bit out wide for that very narrow. No, somehow we're still going faster. And that felt a lot scruffier than I did last time around, but we are making more time up. Brake nice and early. Get the front end turned in. Yeah, he's only about 80, mid-80s through that corner, but it's obviously quick everywhere else. The Lamborghini was doing 90s. To be fair, 90s we've been seeing from most of the normal cars, really, at that corner. Come on, go on forward, short shift into third will work nicely here. More than enough power. Wow, bloody hell, 111.8 from the F-100. This thing is mighty, mighty good. I'm really surprised by the F-100. I thought it was going to be horrendous. Again, with these silly vehicles that just aren't turning out to be that silly. I've driven plenty of cars with small tyres and high power outputs, and normally short shift vehicles doesn't make a bloody difference. They just sit and spin their wheels up. Somehow this thing will find traction. Even more surprising, you know, being a pickup truck, there's very little weight over the rear wheels, but still it finds some traction somewhere. God knows from where, and it will absolutely fly around the circuit. Yeah, the front end doesn't get turned in massively well, but it's, I don't think, much worse off than a lot of sensible cars. So that is really rather good going. It doesn't roll over. It's slightly disappointing in that respect. The lap time is rather impressive. It goes into 18th place. It is 1/10 of a second down on the Caterham R500. This Ford pickup truck with a Nascar engine is 1/10 of a second down on the Caterham. That's some really, really impressive performance from this. It goes well quicker than the Lamborghini and the Mercedes G-Wagon, the Rolls-Royce Dawn, etc. Yeah, I am thoroughly impressed. I mean, it's, what is it, a second down on the BMW X6M. You know, the big four-wheel drive SUV. I'm pretty sure that had the 1,200 horsepower engine. It's only a second down on it a lap. That is not what I was expecting at all from the F-100, but there we go. It is now time, though, to see how quickly it'll go in a straight line. And that, of course, means bringing the Ford to Le Mans. Now, while it doesn't have quite as powerful engine as we saw from the Lamborghini, it is perhaps slightly better off aerodynamics-wise, a little bit lower to the ground, so we could potentially see, can we get 200 miles an hour out of this? Yeah, so because I have got the upgraded gearbox, it's just the gear ratios from standard are absurdly long. It's, yeah, helping a bit with the traction. Let's get rid of the aero from this one. It's not quite going to be enough, I don't think, to get 200 miles an hour. It's going to, yeah, it's going to hit the aero limit about 193.2. Whether we're quite going to be able to get the 193 before the end of the straight, I don't know. We will give it a try. It's thankfully not going to be beaten by the Aztec. Well, I say that, we could have massive issues going down the straight. Who knows? It's not likely, though, to be beaten by the Aztec. The Aztec can remain firmly at the bottom of the table. Now, in the dry here, we might have more issues with potentially rolling the truck. Are we going to see grip roll from the F-100? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not. Oh, God, bouncing our way across the curb on the inside there. And we're not doing as badly as I thought we might do with this vehicle. No, we're actually losing the back end before we... Hey, we're going to go around in a circle. We're going to lose the back end before we end up on our side. I don't think it quite has big enough tyres to do it sort of with a stock setup. It's very easy to tune this vehicle and make it fall over, but with a stock setup, it just simply doesn't have big enough tyres to cause it grip roll issues. Okay, that's something to bear in mind. I didn't think that was the case, but there we go. That is what is happening as we head on to... Oh, no. Ah. there are some bumps. They're very, very hard bumps to see. We're going to have to reapproach this corner so we can carry speed. They're very, very hard to see. You see where the tyre tracks are pretty much. That some vehicles don't like them. This apparently is one of them. This is about one of the worst I've seen or felt driving. You hit the bumps and the car kind of just turns right, and no amount of you steering can do anything to stop it. Now I'm trying to do a speed run, so of course I'm naturally trying to carry as much speed as I can into this section, so we are going to have to be a little bit more patient. It's really bad across them. Really bad. I think perhaps taking a slightly tighter line as well will help limit the number that you hit. You are still going to hit them though. Up to 170 miles an hour as we round the corner. That's not too bad. As we get to the 180 mile an hour mark with relative ease, I suspect it's going to be very much a case of, yeah, once we start hitting 190, it's very hard to keep accelerating the F-100, but it has got 192 miles an hour. Come on, we've got a long, long bit of straight to go still to get that 193. I just need one more. One more, possibly? Was that a flicker to 93, or was it a flicker back to 91? I'm not sure. No, that's definitely 193. There we go, it's done it! Can we get another mile an hour just to screw over the benchmark? 194? Possibly? No, it doesn't look like we're going to do it. Now we're coming towards the corner. Are we going to have issues here? Oh, there goes the back end ever so slightly. Otherwise, not too bad. Well, the F-100 is a considerably more drivable truck than expected. It may not have the brakes quite of the Lamborghini, but it is a little bit quicker in a straight line, and despite being rear-wheel drive, it puts a lot of the large heavy SUVs that I really thought that this was going to be kind of competing with, considering it's not exactly built for handling, the F-100. It puts them a little bit to shame. Being considerably lighter, it can maintain its corner speed. The very long gear ratios did help a lot with this vehicle, but even so, as I said, I've tried short shifting in various cars. Often they will still just spin the wheels massively. This thing is pretty impressive, the way that it does manage to find traction in a way that I wouldn't particularly expect it to. I really thought it was going to be a handful, and the F-100 simply isn't. Its straight line speed, 193 miles an hour. Yes, it is down towards the bottom of the table, as we would kind of expect from this. It does go quicker than the Volkswagen camper van. It beats the Lamborghini, the Mini Cooper, and the Mercedes G-Wagon, although it loses out to the Willys Jeep, the Fiat 595, Rolls-Royce Dawn, Mercury Coupe, and so on. Yeah, what we're expecting to be an utterly ridiculous and barely drivable vehicle really wasn't. All of these silly cars are turning out to be surprisingly controllable. I don't know what's going on. However, that is it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.